I would say after 8 years of doing UrbanLadder, I think it was pretty clear as to what I was. When I say what I was, what my passion areas were, what my strength areas were, where I saw the world going, right? And I think that I was clear. But if you say that you're going to have a very clear, bare bones from which you're starting, you should not eliminate anything at the start. So when this was October 2019 when I moved out. I think I went about it like any other left-brained would do, which is just go about it, talk to people, understand what's the ecosystem, where are the needs, where are the gaps. I did all of that, and I think I started by eliminating. So at the start, everything other than VC was on the table, right? But I think what quickly happened was I started eliminating. I said it's very different and very difficult once you've been a founder to be part of a big corporate and be doing something. So I eliminated the whole corporate route very quickly. I also eliminated late stage startups. There was a bunch of startup options that came my way, very senior roles in unicorns. And while I liked the founders, while I liked the mission, it was very difficult to adjust to both a founder energy as well as a culture of a startup, right? Especially when it's set in stone, when you've done something of your own. So I immediately eliminated that. As I said, VC was not even an option at that time. I had eliminated VC saying 40 to 50, I'm not going to be investing, I'm going to be building, right? So I had eliminated that even before corporate and late stage startup. Then there were opportunities of being a CEO of a bunch of early stage startups, which also came my way. There I sort of realized that if you don't have passion for that space, one was in gaming, one was in healthcare. And if you don't have passion for that space on an everyday basis that you wake up to, you can't do it, right? You can't do it for 5, 10 years. So I sort of had good conversations, but I also eliminated that. Now I was left with pretty much two things. One is start my own startup, which was one sort of thought process, or do something more freelance for around 18, 24 months and then figure life out. I also thought, okay, I've never done something fully international, and maybe, my daughter was, I think, at that time 7. I said, okay, this is probably the last time that I can even think of something. But then I also eliminated that, saying, hey, my entire network is here. What I've done in the last 8 years this year, it's going to be very difficult for me to establish something from ground up in a new geography. So let me just eliminate that too. So it was between doing a startup and doing something freelance for 18, 24 months. Now, which is where I started off. I put it on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm free. I'm going to just, so this was, I think, around November, December of 2019, before the COVID, pandemic hit. And I just put it up saying, I'm free, let me just explore, right? Around, I think, some 100 people pinged, and 70, 80 of them very interesting early stage founders. So this just so happened, right? Early stage founders seemed like, okay, you've done a startup, so maybe there's something of use. And I met a bunch of them, at least an hour or 2 hours spent with a lot of them. That gave me a lot of passion. That gave me a lot of energy, right? Beyond anything, any other conversation I had had during that 6 months. And I figured, okay, I want to do something with early stage founders. And this was, I think, through Jan and February of 2020. So this was more a discovery process. I didn't know what it was going to be. What I think it became clear was it can't be just as an advisor, just as a, because early stage founders got a lot of advice from a lot of people. It had to be some kind of a stake in the ground, which means that I either pair up with someone or I invest in someone. I had never invested before, right? So investing was not at that point in time something that I could think of.